and welcome back to my channel. So, I thought I'd do just a little video, and it's been like over a year since I've posted anything with a little bit of an update. I decided to take a bit of a hiatus during that time because I found that my anxiety and my mental health really was quite screwed up during that time. It was really in a real roller coaster. So I just thought I'd, I don't know, just have a bit of a, just a touch base with y'all, just to see what have I been doing, how have I been handling that, how's that been sort of, intersecting with like my identity as a queer person, and how have I managed to sort of combat that, and how do I get around the issues that can arise as a side effect of being someone who can sometimes be on the fringe of acceptance, I guess. Basically, the tea is probably ever since I've moved out. So like you guys you've seen me chronicle like my moving out and all that kind of stuff. So it's been probably about 4 years since I did move out of my original home in Lilydale. Since then, it's sort of like there's little things, there's lots of little things that have gone on in my life, like just disagreements with family. There has been like work upheaval. There has been so much drama going on, which I will spill tea on separate topics in due time. But we would be here for another year until I finish those topics. So we'll just sort of move through that you just say there were dramas going on, right? I started to develop, I think, and it might have always been here, it might have always been like, in the background, because I've experienced, a bit of depression and stuff in my life, but this was something that was a little bit more out of control, like it got to a point a couple of years ago when I started to realise that my concern for my safety, for my surroundings, for my security, I was constantly being triggered by so many different things, worried about being attacked in the street, catching a train, people looking at me. I couldn't focus on conversations with people, especially in public, because I'd be always looking over their shoulder going, oh my god, is that person over there talking about me, in my mind? Like, there was that paranoia. And it got to one point where I eventually, I got so wrapped up in it that I was so scared to leave the house, I got so wired that I was worried that, things were going to happen, or, I was going to have to deal with confrontation, or la 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 la. So I really, really knotted up and freaked out, and it was just not great. So anyway, so my initial reaction was to bury myself in work. So my first, because I have been through some dramas with work in my, my previous job, where back in the day there was a lot of drama with boys or male-presenting individuals wearing makeup, and I, like in this particular company that I worked for, and we've been through HR several times because, there was, as a cosmetic brand, they were allowed to wear certain things, like, there was a makeup expectation, but that was only for the girls, where I identify as male-bodied, but genderqueer, gender non-conforming, and as long as I follow that uniform, it should have been fine, but it wasn't. So it caused a lot of insecurities, a lot of gender dysphoria, because I was like, okay, so, I'm almost getting this push to be binary, and I was like, okay, am I trans? Do I transition? Like there was that question also raised. So it was a big time of upheaval these last couple of years, and it's taken a long time for me to, I was rejected from that. I moved on to a new company, loved the new company that I worked for, and I loved it so much that I was so paranoid I'd be fired. So I worked myself to death, basically. I put on weight, my anxiety only got worse because I was working harder, not smarter, I wasn't thinking around the problem, I was just living in the moment with the problem. It got to a stage, I think, where I realised that this is not, I was not getting the results I wanted. I wasn't getting the happiness out of my life by focusing so heavily on this in that particular way. By that point, I'd started taking, anti-anxiety medication, so seeing a psychologist as well. So, I've seen a couple of psychologists, so they really did help. I know that sounds weird and, like, oh, yeah, sure, you're a psychologist, but it actually does. I'm serious. Like, you gotta find the right person, and they've got to understand where you're coming from and your approach, and, anyway, that really helped. I've gotten to that point now where I've really tried to really turn my life around in terms of how I perceive my anxiety, how I perceive every day, how I perceive my self-worth, how I perceive myself as a genderqueer person in modern day society, and how that wasn't as scary as it used to be moving out by myself with my, my friends and stuff. Like, when I first moved out, I felt so vulnerable, but I'm at the point now, I think, where I'm really much healthier, I think, with my head. After talking to my last psychologist, you know, they were like, you know, what are some of the older things that, you know, you used to really connect with to make you happy and make you feel safe? One of them was this. YouTube. This is why I've started to sort of try to invest and dabble back into it. And I hate saying this thing, because I know I've said this so many times in past videos, that I, you know, I want to get started back into it again. I'm not going to make any kind of promises like that this time, because this is, you know, season of me on YouTube is very much selfish. You know, this is about me and my self-growth, and I think, you know, if you guys would stick with me, I will let you in on all that, you know, and just how my life is going, while also focusing on beauty and makeup videos as well, because in that meantime, I have actually come quite a long way with my makeup skills. I'm not an ace, I'm not amazing, I'm not going to go ahead and say that, but there might be things you might learn, maybe not, who knows. So, you know, stay tuned to those as well. That's me in the tea. So I officially live with generalized anxiety disorder and also some mild panic disorder as well. But I think I've got it under control-ish for the time being. So we'll see how we go. Until my next video. I'll see you later.